hear actually, we haven't connected in the last 2 weeks. So a celebration over the last 2 weeks. What's going really positively, or what's inspiring you right now? Who would like to share?
Happy to be healthy. I had a birthday this past Friday, so it was good to reach the milestone of 36. So
happy birthday, brother. You don't look a day over 35.
Sept, I thought you were the same age as me. I'm not going to lie. I thought you were in your 20s.
Still get carded, so it feels good.
Great, man. You're doing something right.
Yeah. Appreciate it.
Awesome. All right. What else we have to celebrate?
I grew 2 inches.
Wow. Dude, you doubled your size.
Oh, dude, it makes a huge difference now. I can see over the dash.
Awesome.
My kids are going back to school. Does that count?
That counts.
Oh, yeah.
Halla frickin' Luya.
What's positive about that?
They're out of my
Peace
house.
and quiet.
Peace and quiet. I need them. I need them to have some normalcy and structure back. It has been so incredibly difficult since March. Their entire little worlds have been turned upside down. My daughter has no theater, has no chorus, has no vocal lessons, has no art lessons. My son has no football, no baseball, no basketball, like nothing. I need some normalcy.
Well, football's back, thankfully.
Not for us. No, we voted to cancel our season due to COVID up here and the restrictions. Now my son is playing flag football, but that's not football.
You can at least watch the NFL and college football now.
I now watch Tampa Bay.
Yeah. So during my open house this weekend, I had football on. Not when people were there, but when no one was in the house, I was watching football the whole time.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome.
So normalcy is good.
Let's open it up for one more share. And the person that's going to be sharing next, you already know who you are, so just go ahead and say it.
Got my first closing tomorrow.
That is super something.
There you go, brother.
Yeah.
Yeah.
First closing is always the toughest.
Yeah, right.
It just gets better and better from here.
Right. That's great. That's awesome. Congratulations.
Thank you.
So a couple of housekeeping things. So this Thursday, we have a really phenomenal event. If you haven't registered for it yet, I just posted the link in the chat. That's also an opportunity for you to connect with basically the people that you really want to be in this tribe. And this is a great way to attract agents into your downline. And this is a huge leverage piece for you. I can just tell you that, I was looking back on it a couple of days ago. The very first immersion that we did, we had literally half of the room, half of the people that went to that event end up joining EXP. We're at about a 50% conversion rate on these immersions. So you invite 10 people to this event, and the cool thing is that they can come for free. We've already gotten a few people that I've been running some Facebook ads, and we've gotten a few people that paid the $197. Nobody in our network has to do that, and so yeah, this is an opportunity for them to be able to get a really valuable experience totally for free, and you can leverage that to build the relationship. So, and Alex, do you have any tips on that or any thoughts on that you could share?
My thoughts are that Dean and I have worked extremely hard on this for a long time, and to make an all-day event where you create an experience where people will be enraptured within it the whole time, took a lot of time and a lot of effort, and so I really want to honor that. And so we think it's a great experience that we created. And really think if anybody went to the one before or likes any of this stuff on personal growth, I think we're pretty proud of the piece. And so we think it's something we'll continue to be able to do and grow with. We've got some social media stuff wrapped up and around that of what we're doing on our end. And we're, you know, we'll see where things line up for Thursday, but we're excited. So use the link below, guys. Send it out to folks. Use it as an attraction piece. Use it for just maybe it's somebody in your family or friends and somebody that you think just might be interested in some personal development stuff. It's going to be full of value.
Awesome. So let's just quickly open it up for 1 or 2 shares of how you guys are leveraging this event and what are some of the ways that you're introducing people to our tribe and warming up the conversation so that you can, invite them to this event. What's working for you guys? I know we've had several signups.
I don't think anybody in my group knows about it till today. We just started the social stuff today, so they're probably kind of springing this on them right now.
Okay. So for those of you that have been inviting, I know we've got several registrations already. So what's working for you guys?
Just basically reaching out and extending the invitation to anybody that I've had conversations with, anyone that's showed interest in real estate in general. And even, I know we have some friends that just recently signed up with a different brokerage because they're not in the area. I also send out that invitation over to them as well. So just having those conversations with people in our sphere and posting social media.
Great. Yeah, like I said, super powerful event. Use it. It's there for you. It's there for us, and it will help us continue to build. And by the way, we're planning on doing one of these events every quarter. So this is something that we can always have as think about a lunch and learn on steroids. This is a completely transformational event. So I'm really looking forward to it. So let's go ahead and dive in for today. Over the last, what a journey it's been over the last couple of months, right? We've been doing a lot of this vision work and connecting to the impossible moment. So just want to honor the work that we've done so far in this container. And the impossible moment is if you've been, staying diligent with connecting to the impossible moment, what you'll notice is that the clarity continues to build. It becomes more clear as you keep inviting that energy of the impossible moment. So let's open it up for 2 or 3 shares on what the impossible moment experience has been like for you and what is clear for you right now around your possible moment.
I'll share just, I would say that, so I'm already clear on what my impossible moment is. I've really been kind of leaning into what that's going to feel like. And that's been pretty awesome. Like I can tap into that emotion of looking at the earth with Catalina. I can literally tap into that emotion. And it really sets me on a much, much higher emotional just state. So it's neat to be able to tap into that. And so then that also does, because that feels so good and I do want to drive towards that, it does help me with my discipline, which everybody knows I love to talk about. So it's kind of had a dual effect in that regard.
Awesome, man. Yeah, and what's interesting is that, everybody has their own experience with this exercise. So for me, I got clear on what what it actually felt like first before the actual vision became clear. And so if you had an experience like Alex where the vision became clear first and then the emotional energy started conjuring up, that also, there's no right or wrong way to get to the clarity around this, right? So, yeah, I'm curious, we'll get 1 or 2 more shares here. What has the impossible moment felt like? What has become clear as we've been doing this work over the last 7-8 weeks or so? or what challenges do you have with the impossible moment?
Some challenges out there.
Yeah.
Come on.
Well, for me, as I had explained, I guess with my impossible moment is feeling at a level of being a peer within the real estate group as opposed to just being a new guy on the block, and having respect and kind of this level of just equality as far as I'm looking you guys in the eyes as opposed to being, you know, mentored by you guys, as being a guy that is, you know, searching and looking for ways to help mentor others. So I eventually want to be at the level of that. And for me, it's recently getting my first listing, and then going on and working with people and getting more and more and more as far as involved and successful, and seeing the work put in from what I'm doing being actually coming to fruition, and seeing that that isn't such a far off thing as far as I thought it was going to take, you know, decades to kind of establish myself to be somebody like that. Is like, as the hard work put in, you know, I guess hard work will kind of pay off in the future. And that's closer to my impossible moment.
Beautiful, man. Yeah. And, you know, as we continue on our paths, our impossible moments then start to become possible. And once we move into the that frequency, and we see that it's now possible, there's now a new impossible moment that can drive us to the next level. So there's always another level of impossibility that we can connect to. And also, what's most important is not just the moment, right? It's the version of us that can create that moment. And so always be, you know, connecting to that North Star of what's next and what's available to us, so that we can continue on the path of our highest potential. So that's great, Seth. Thanks for sharing that. So let's start off with, we're just going to invite a moment of presence here and really just get into our hearts, because the impossible moment is, you know, when we invite the energy of the impossible moment, it's really a moment that only becomes clear when we're tapped into our hearts. There's so much that happens up in our heads, and as a society, we're very cerebral. But the way that we listen to our brains is we decide that we're going to do something, and the brain starts to figure it out. It's right here, right? But in order to listen to our hearts, we have to slow down, and we have to actually listen for the heart. And it's a faint whisper. But then as we build that connection with our hearts, the whisper becomes a louder voice. And so if we can tap into our hearts and allow that to lead, and allow our brain to support versus the other way around, which is what 99.9% of the people on the planet do. They lead with their brains and hope that their heart's in it. And most of the time it's not. But when we lead with our hearts, and we trust in our hearts, and we trust in that gut feeling that we have, our brain will support it when we just decide to follow it. And I know everybody in this Zoom room right now has an experience where, even if it didn't make sense, you had a gut feeling about something, and you're just like, you know what, I'm just going to go for it because it feels right. And even if it didn't make sense, by just deciding that that was the direction that you were going to go, how does it always work out? It always is the path of our highest potential. And so that's the part of us that we really want to connect to as we continue to do this work, and listen to really what feels authentic. When we're creating an impossible moment from our brain, we're oftentimes creating an impossible moment that other people want us to have, or what we think other people want us to have. But if we're really listening to ourselves, that's where the magic happens, where we can really be authentic, and we can tap into the gifts that we've always had, but we just forgot about. And so let's just take a moment of presence. So everybody sit in a powerful and supported posture, or if you're standing, stand in a posture that's supporting, and have a strong lengthened spine. Close your eyes and just put your hands over your hearts. And let's feel the sensation of being in our hearts, feeling the power of our heart beneath our hands, feeling the power of the heart within our chest, feeling the power of our heart all through every single vein and part of our body. And just honoring that this is the part of us that has never slowed down. It's always working, even when we're not, even when we don't want to. It's the part of us that everything was built around. It's the part of us that fuels our entire human experience. The brain wouldn't be anything without the heart. And so understanding that the heart is the center, it's the part of us that is the strongest. Let's just listen to what the heart has to say. And to do that, let's just take a few breaths. And with each breath, just invite a stronger connection or a more attuned ear to what the heart wants to say. And with each breath, just allow the breath to go deeper. Allow that connection to the heart to get stronger. And when we're breathing, there's no need to force it. There's no need to power through anything. Just allow it to be natural but intentional. Be with the breath and the heart. With every in-breath and out-breath. And just allow this to be your experience. There is no right or wrong way to do this. The purpose of this is simply to just have an experience. So just be curious as to what experience wants to be had. And just listen. And even if there's nothing to hear, sometimes silence is the best teacher. Sometimes silence is exactly what we need. If there's a message, don't overthink the message, just receive it. And trust yourself to receive the wisdom and the knowledge that's contained in that message. Know that that message is already within you. So you don't have to do anything with it. Just receive it. So when you're ready, with a soft gaze coming back into the container and just honoring your experience, honoring this level of presence. Let's continue to hold this level of presence and level of connection and allow the heart to be out in front of you. Whether you have to do that physically, whether you have to just do that with your intention, imagine your heart being like Iron Man, right? You've got the Iron Man, the reactor, right? Right in the center. Just imagine that being the beam of light that guides you. that be the illuminating energy for the next part of your journey. So what we're going to do is we're going to dive into the parts of ourselves. We're going to continue listening to our hearts and continue listening to all the parts of us. We're also going to listen to the parts that are in our brain as well. And whenever we connect to our impossible moment and the version of us that can create that impossible moment, there's a lot of different experiences that come up. A lot of different emotions, a lot of different belief systems. And that's why sometimes the impossible moment can be a very challenging thing to connect to, because there's a part of us that has resistance to believing that the impossible moment is real. And so for the next 7 or 8 minutes or so, grab out your journals or something to write with. And we're just going to reflect, and we're going to stay in this moment of presence. And there's no right or wrong answer to this. This is an exercise that is really just tapping into the parts of us that are there so that we can build an awareness around it. Because anything that happens within our awareness is now our choice. So if we want more choices on how we show up to the world and what we create, we've got to build our awareness around it first. So let's take 7 or 8 minutes to journal on the voices or the messages that we hear when we're connecting to our impossible moment, and specifically the voices that don't believe in the impossible moment. So connect to all of those voices and all of the reasons that are coming up from that voice as to why the impossible moment is impossible. And it's not something that can be believed in. Let's tap into the part of ourselves, that fear part of our brain. And let's just write down for the next 7 or 8 minutes every single voice, every single belief system, every single emotion that comes up that has resistance to your impossible moment. So we'll spend 7 or 8 minutes doing that. Then we'll come back, open it up for some shares, and then we'll dive into the next section. right. So everybody start wrapping up. So let's get some shares on what that was like for you, and would also love to hear some of the voices that that are coming up around not believing in the impossible moment, and how does that feel? So who would like to share first?
This is Dawn. I'll go ahead and go.
Great.
You hear me?
Yep.
Okay. Interestingly enough, I found that most of the negative voices were my own, telling me how and why I couldn't do such things.
And what does that feel like?
It just makes me realize I'm my own worst enemy at moments.
Mm. Yeah. I'm going to pose a question here after we get 2 or 3 more shares. But yeah, I think it's really important to build an awareness of those voices. And by the way, those voices are just meant to be there. Each limiting belief, or each voice that doesn't believe that we can create what we're truly meant to create, those voices just have unmet needs. And so, and what we're going to talk about that at the end of today, on how to really uncover that and how to connect to what those unmet needs are. And they're just unmet needs that, from just having a human experience and having the experiences that we've had and the relationships that we've had, all of those things culminate into our view of the world. And sometimes our view of the world can be scarce, where we can have that unmet need. And so these unmet needs oftentimes manifest in the voices that try to keep us safe, keep us in our comfort zone, keep us status quo. So thank you so much for sharing that, Dawn. Does that feel complete for you?
Yep, it does. Thank you.
Awesome. Monique?
Hey, good morning, everybody. So I'm going to mimic Dawn a little bit in being your own worst enemy. And, for me, back in my 20s and 30s, I wasn't making great choices. I was working hard, but I wasn't making great choices. And so through my 40s, did a big correction, making better choices, relationship, work, that type of thing. Now in my 50s, being part of this, making even better choices, but I still find I'm my own worst enemy. And my impossible moment, finding that work-life balance, I'm telling myself, I don't deserve to have a life balance. I have to be working. That's where my value is. Nobody at work is telling me that. Nobody's saying I don't deserve a day off. I don't deserve an afternoon off. And on the flip side of it, my husband, my family has never said that they don't feel that my job is important, that my career, my business is important. They get it, they know. So when it comes down to it, it's my voice telling me I'm not worthy, I'm not valued enough. And so this has been a huge learning experience to realize it's never been the circle around me. It's never been my core group ever saying I didn't deserve it or they don't understand. It's always fallen on my shoulders, and that's a big aha moment for me.
Great share. Thank you, Monique.
Beautiful share. Joey?
Yeah, so my challenge is really with, the impossible moment has been, practicing my intentions and the feelings and emotions that come along with it, or that tie into it. You know, even with us not meeting in a couple weeks, I've noticed that I've slacked. You know, I haven't been practicing it and doing it. You know, it seems like I've only been relying on it when things don't go right, instead of, you know, when I'm busy or, you know, I'm having some small successes. I'm not practicing that. I'm not, you know, doing it every day. And, you know, when something goes wrong, it shows. You know, I'm not prepared. I'm not ready. You know, so I think I should be practicing the good habits daily. You know, things that we're doing here, kind of imagining what it looks like, even if it's not, you know, it's not clarified yet what it is. At least practicing those emotions and those intentions daily, so that, you know, I'm prepared when, you know, life does throw you a curveball, or you know, you guys aren't there to, you know, lean on or rely on. So it's kind of the challenges that I'm dealing with it.
Great, brother. Thank you for sharing that. Now, you know, in those moments, you know, there's a reveal in your share that I just want to, you know, bring into the container. And anytime that we say, yeah, I should be doing this, or I should be doing that, there's like an element of like, you know, that could usually bring up like shame. That could bring up, you know, just like some disempowering thoughts that we have about ourselves. And so what I'm curious about is, what's the voice that either you say about yourself, or you say about your circumstance, or just the voice in general, what it wants to express in those moments when you identify like, hey, I should be doing this. And really what that is like, hey, I know I could be doing this. Right.
Yeah, the positive is, you know, like you said, you know, feeling it in your heart and knowing you're doing the right thing. And then the negative is that I should be doing more, I could be doing more, and, you know, maybe, you know, it's not going to work out, maybe it's not right. You know, those are the negative thoughts that, you know, detract from, you know, the impossible moment, which is you can't really dwell in the negative. You know, even if things are bad and they're bumpy, you know, you have to push forward. You know, you have to remember what it is that you're working for and what you're trying to do. And as long as it feels good in the heart, you know, I've done things that never felt good in the heart, but I kept pushing. You know, this one feels good, you know, it does. So I'm really, you know, kind of holding on to that. You know, you're doing the right thing, just keep your head down and just keep practicing the right intentions.
Beautiful. Yeah. You know, the purpose of why we are here, that's a mind fuck. Like the purpose, like, oh, I've got to satisfy this big purpose. I've got to build this legacy. Right? I'm here for a reason. And look at me. I'm not acting in a way where I'm connected to that reason, or else I wouldn't be doing this. Does that voice sound familiar? We all have that. Your purpose is to just have an experience. We're just here to have an experience. And when we can take the pressure off of like, oh, I should be doing this, or I should be doing that, or I'm getting further away from what I'm here for, we got to throw all that shit out. And that's also what's really important in those moments of like, man, this is a bumpy ride right now. And it's just part of the experience. So that's what I really want to bring in around these voices. These voices are just part of your experience. And what's beautiful about just having an experience and being here to simply have the experience is that we also get to choose the experience we want. And when we can choose the experience, we can choose the voice that we listen to. We can choose how we receive all of the voices. If we're resisting the voices and say, I shouldn't be thinking that way, what's wrong with me? We're resisting our experience. But when we can say, wow, I'm having these really interesting voices that are coming up that I know is not going to guide, like there's a huge cost if I listen to those voices, but thank you, voices, for what you're trying to tell me, And thank you, voices, for being part of my experience so that I know what the opposite is, or I know what voice is coming from the heart or what's coming from fear. Because most of the time, these two voices are either rooted in our hearts or rooted in our fears. And so the ones that are rooted in our fears are oftentimes the voices that don't believe that we can be the version of us that creates those impossible moments. So that's the purpose of this exercise. And Seth, I know you have something to share, but you know, the purpose of connecting with these voices is to really just honor the voices and to love the voices. How can we show those voices love? Because that's ultimately, if we really ask those voices what they want, deep down inside, they just want love. They're just misguided and think that they have to, you know, be in a comfort zone and protect ourselves because we don't want to, you know, be unsafe. We don't want to get hurt. But at the end of the day, all the voices, they just want love. So Joey, does that feel complete for you, brother?
Absolutely.
How's that land for you, by the way?
What's that? Say it again.
How does that land for you?
Good. It makes total sense. And just being able to absorb everything, bring it in.
Awesome. And Seth, one more share.
Yeah, it was along the lines of kind of how everybody else was describing it. As I have written down here, you know, stay out of my own head to keep me from getting in my own way, sort of thing. And I had the epiphany the other day when I got up to go for a run, and it looked like it was about to rain outside. And I was like, I don't know if I want to go running in the rain. And I was like, you know what? I'm like, go ahead and just lean into it and go run in the rain anyways, because I'm going to get more comfortable with doing it instead of it being an excuse why not to go running. And of course, in Florida fashion, I get outside to go for the run, and the rain just stops. So the excuse that I was trying to make up to even run, once I got out the door, didn't even exist anymore. So it was like this roadblock that I almost put in my head to completing a run. And then, of course, I go out the door and I go to run, you know, and I look right and you could see it raining at the end of the street. So I'm like, you know what? I'm going to run towards the rain. And by the time I got there, the rain was gone anyway. So it's like this thing that was a hurdle then became a target for me. And it actually extended my run, you know, quarter of a mile. So I pushed myself beyond my limit. And I was like, you know, leaning in and going in towards that stuff, actually making myself uncomfortable, actually, you know, help to kind of broaden my ability and what my mind thought I was going to do that day. So just the possibility of something bad happening, what I wanted to do in my mind ended up turning into a blessing that, you know, was better for me in the end. So, you know, instead of something not working out, I need to look at it as something that helped me build and get stronger from.
What a great metaphor, man.
Yeah,
it really is. You know, like you get to see the thought of, I don't want to go run because it's raining. And then you lean into hey, it's all about an experience. And it's all about, you said you're going to do something. And then, you know, what you made up in your mind was going to happen didn't end up happening, and you still did it. That's just a brilliant, beautiful metaphor, man. Really nice. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for bringing that in, brother. So, you know, as we're connecting to all these voices that can hold us back from just taking the run, taking the next step in our journey, right? When we're connecting to these voices, what's the cost of letting these voices lead how we show up to the world? What's the consequence of us allowing these voices to lead? We can still honor them, but we don't have to let them lead. We don't have to choose them. We get to choose our own experience. So for the last few minutes here, let's connect to the voices let's get back into our hearts, back into a moment of presence and really feel it in here. And let's connect to the voices that believe in the impossible moment and the version of us that can create that impossible moment. So we'll take a few minutes to journal on that, and then we'll wrap up with some shares and then an intention for the rest of the week, moving into next week and moving into our immersion this Thursday. It's going to be a very powerful exercise for you to show up with this work having already been done coming into Thursday. So the prompt is, what are the voices, or what do you hear from these voices that believe in your impossible moment and believe in the version of you that can create that impossible moment? What are all of the voices, all of the reasons, all of the reasons for deserving it, all of the reasons for your ability to be able to manifest it? What are the reasons, maybe the purpose behind it? What are all the reasons and all the voices that believe in that impossible moment? All right. These are the fun voices. And they're necessary, right? These are the voices that have something to express as well. So go ahead and type share in the chat to, I'm curious to hear about your experience with this voice and what were some of the voices that came up and what did that feel like? Candace.
You're muted.
Muted.
Better?
Okay, yep.
Okay, you know me, I'll jump in. This one's ultra personal, but the voice that keeps popped in was honestly my brother's. And he kind of, through his work with AA and all of that, he had this funny little thing he would tell us every time he felt kind of like the negativity was creeping in, right? That he would go move a couch. Go move a couch. And, you know, he would just, and to him, the metaphor was go be of service to others, go help somebody else, go give of yourself, you know, instead of letting the negativity overtake you, go move a freaking couch. So that's just what kept, and my mom smiling. But that's what popped in my mind was, you know, with all this negativity and the, you know, that pendulum swing, just, I need to go move a couch. Whatever that couch looks like, I need to move a couch. So, and blast Whitney Houston while doing it.
I love that. Well, thank you for sharing that. And just like, you know, the follow-up question to the voices that don't believe, where we connected to what's the cost or the consequence of letting that voice lead. With that, what's possible if we let that voice lead?
Lots of couches are going to get moved.
Yeah.
There's not even enough couches in this world.
No. Just about move a couch, go do something good for somebody, for yourself, and yourself is somebody. You are somebody. So whether you're doing it for yourself or somebody else, go move a couch.
100%. Brian, let's hear from you, brother.
I had to unmute. Hey, I like that, and tying in on what Joey said, because what Joey had said really resonated. Kind of like, you know, somehow the way some people look at church, I'll only go, you know, when things are a little low, and then I'll kind of ride that wave for a little while. The challenge I have with the couch moving is that I would be a full-time mover, because I oftentimes find that as an escape to come back to me. And, you know, this morning I woke up on a floor on a mattress, on a floor, with shits thrown around all over. And I didn't have a wild party. It's the first time in 21 years I've been on my own. And so I looked at that and said, wow, you know, what did you get yourself into here? And then I looked at it, and I'm not like a numerology person, but I do believe in there are signs guiding us. And as I drove, because I swore to myself that I would be on my own by yesterday, and as I drove into my new little driveway, it was 10:10, and 10:10 means that, anyway. So you know, I looked at this as a really cool opportunity. And, to the point of the voices, there are a whole lot of them saying, no, you can't. And there's a very little tiny one that says you can. But the tiny one got me here. And so the tiny one's got a bigger voice than I oftentimes give it credit for. So it's honoring that and looking at it this morning and saying, you know what, it's 4 o'clock. It's time to get your ass up, flat on the floor on a mattress or not, and it's time to drink your gallon of water and put that together and go explore new places with my dog, and that he's never seen before. He was having the time of his life. And to be able to do that kind of stuff is a whole new way of something that I was looking forward to, but also dreading at the same time. So that I want to say I love Candace's move the couch, because I am a couch mover. Um, However, I have to make sure that some of the furniture that I move is my own. And I have to keep reminding me to move my own furniture first so that I can build my muscles to move furniture to help other folks.
That's awesome, Brian. That's awesome. And remember, at the end of what Candace was saying there was that, oh yeah, sometimes moving the couch is your own thing. So you can just move a shitload of your own couches, man. You don't need to be moving anybody else's couches.
And I'm going to be doing just that.
Yeah, that's awesome, bro. Thank you for sharing that.
And when we serve ourselves and we really pour into ourselves, we can overflow into others, right? The definition of abundance is to overflow. And so we're not emptying ourselves so we can serve others. We're filling ourselves so we can overflow into others. And so, yeah, we've got to move our furniture first. And in doing that, we're serving others. So I love that. Thank you for bringing that in.
Great ending. I have an appointment here that I got to keep. So
great.
I got to bolt, but
yep. So we're wrapping up here with these 3 questions. Actually, they're 4 questions that I would just invite you guys to write down and reflect on between now and Thursday. And the questions are, what do the voices want to express to each other? And if you could have each voice interview each other, what would be said? What needs do they have, and what needs do they have in common? And I think as you discover and build some awareness around this stuff, you'll see that they have a lot in common. They both want the same things. So I'll leave you guys with that. Have an amazing Monday. Thank you guys for all the work that you've been putting in, because you are serving yourself in these moments, and in turn, you're serving others. So appreciate you all. Have a happy Monday.
Thank you. Bye, guys.